Hi, welcome to Hotpoint video tutorials. This video tutorial will be shown to you by Dave. He will take you through a step-by-step procedure in repairing this appliance.
Hi there, in this video I'll be removing and refitting the top oven thermostat on a Hotpoint EW74. This is a ceramic hob cooker, and although the actual fixings may vary from other similar models, the basic information is the same. So this video could be helpful on other cookers made by Creda, Indesit, Ariston, to name but a few. Before you start work on any appliance, remember to disconnect it from the mains power supply first. The hob is held on at the rear by these two screws. Don't undo the other screws because they're holding the support arms for the element. Just to make sure you have undone the correct screws, lift the hob a little. It won't come off just yet because it's still held on by the front screws. Next, lever the control knobs off. If you place them in order as you remove them, it will make it easy for when it comes to putting them back on, or you may put them on the wrong spindle. I'm using a piece of tin to stand them on. This way I can move them all to a safe location out of the way and still have them in the correct order for refitting. The buttons on the clock are all exactly the same and they just pull off, so you can put them with the screws. The fascia panel is held on by two screws underneath, inside the door opening. When they're removed, you can slide the panel to the left and it will come free. Unhook the two neons and put the panel out of the way. Now you can get to the screws that hold the front of the hob on. Remove them and it can be lifted and turned to gain access to the wiring connections. Be careful when handling the hob at this stage because although they're very robust in everyday use, they are more vulnerable when removed from the unit. And don't try to stretch the wires as you turn the hob over, or you may just damage one or more of the elements or bend some of the terminals and cause them to short circuit. One of the main culprits is this black wire from the neon warning lights to one of the terminal blocks. The wiring is so short it's almost unavoidable that it will bend and short out on the other connections, so double check this before replacing the hob. The connection between the elements and the switches is made via two male to female socket and plug assemblies. You may feel it necessary to mark which ones go where, but in this case it's not necessary because they can't be reconnected wrongly. However, on some other models this may be a viable option. As you can see, to separate them, just squeeze the clasps at the side of the assembly and leave them apart. The temperature sensing part of the thermostat is held to the rear of the oven by two clips, and if you lever it away with the tip of a screwdriver it will come free quite easily. You'll now need to unscrew the back of the cooker to pull the thermostat file all the way out. Fortunately you don't need to touch the cable because the back panel hooks into the cabinet, forming a hinge mechanism. So the whole rear section can now be swung to the side without actually removing it. Pull the file clear of the cooker and unravel it from the retaining hooks on top of the oven casing. Be careful not to bend or damage the capillary tube of the other thermostat while you do it, or you may need to replace both of them. The thermostat is a piggyback type that slots into the rear of the oven switch. Before removing any wires it's advisable to make a note of where they fit or take a photo. If you use a screwdriver tip you can lever the thermostat away from the switch quite easily. If the control was set to off when you took the control knob off, then the thermostat shaft will have the flat side facing up as this one is. It's not unheard of for new thermostats to be different from the one you're about to replace. This is due to manufacturers sometimes changing suppliers of certain components. But providing you used a reputable parts supplier such as apartforyou.co.uk and they were given the relevant details, the new thermostat should work just fine. Always unravel the capillary tube rather than just pulling it, or it will kink, and where possible bend it in a curve rather than at right angles, because this too may cause it to kink or snap. Try to have the capillary tube under the wiring and close to the oven casing. This is just so that if the wiring is pulled when the hob is removed, it doesn't affect the thermostat or damage it in any way. As I said earlier, the shaft should be facing upwards when it's connected onto the switch, and make sure the connection is sound or they could come apart during normal use. Connecting the wires is up to you. You can either connect them while the thermostat is out or like I have while it's in place, just as long as the earth wire is fitted on the correct terminal. Relocate the capillary tube around the hooks just as it was when you removed it, or you may get some tapping noises when the cooling fan is running. At this point, when you insert the thermostat into the oven, be sure you don't bend it. Refitting it to the rear of the oven is just a matter of locating it into the two clips. Before you close the back up, just take a look to be sure everything's in the right place and none of the terminals have been inadvertently pulled off or bent. You can buy all your spares and tools online at apartforyou.co.uk. We cater for most makes and models, even some of the more obscure ones. As I said earlier, it's not possible on this cooker to get the connection plugs crossed, because there's a male and female plug attached to the hob and the same connected to the cooker. In this way you can only attach the male from the cooker to the female on the hob and vice versa. Even the casing around the pins are shaped so they only fit one way. Therefore refitting and wiring from the cooker to the hob is the easy bit. Once again, be extra careful when it comes to moving or refitting the hob, because it's so easy to pull on the wiring without realising it, and this could damage or bend the terminals. Make sure the hob is resting flat on the cooker before refitting the front screws. Remember to fit the neons before putting the fascia panel back. So you can see how the fascia panel locates in place, I've left the hob off, but in practice you wouldn't see it like this. The lips on the panel slot into the brackets on the cooker and are held in place by two screws underneath. If you set the control knobs out on a board when you took them off, you shouldn't have any trouble refitting them now. The clock buttons are just as easy because they also just push on. It just remains to fit the two screws at the rear of the cooker before testing, and the job's done. We hope this video was of help to you, and remember to buy your spares online at apartforyou.co.uk, because this is how we can finance making these free videos. Thanks for watching.